Hey bike farmers, thanks for clicking in. It's October 3rd, 2024. It's been exactly 1 year since I monetized this channel. This last year has been one of the most exciting years of my life, watching this channel grow, and it's a total game changer. It's got me second guessing my bike businesses, whether or not I want to continue with them, whether or not it's worth it, whether or not I have to do it. I just don't even know. Do I want to do this full time? To commemorate this milestone, I sat down and I wrote it all out. And it's starting to read a little bit half memoir, half video essay, kind of explaining my thoughts and general philosophy on things and how it's changing my life. But that seems like it's kind of boring to just read into a camera. So I've thrown my 1966 Schwinn Racer 3-Speed up in the stand. This is my bug out bike. This is the one that I hop on when I gotta run to the post office or go catch one of my kids' games. It sits outside, it's got some rust, it's not shifting right. I don't take good care of this bike. I don't think I've had it in the stand for over 2 years. It's still very rideable, but it's not working very well. So I'm gonna clean this thing up, drop some lube in some spots. You can watch that happen and listen to me talk about myself for the next few minutes. Thank you so much for clicking in. If you've been around for the past year, I can't thank you enough. This one goes out to you. I'm forever grateful for your attention. Kick back, relax, and let's get started. It's hard to believe it's been 1 year since I monetized this channel and uploaded the "Why are bicycle mechanics such assholes" video, which went viral and launched me into bike YouTube stardom overnight. And frankly, it couldn't have happened at a better time. I had just begun to realize that after 7 surprisingly successful seasons of living out my lifelong dream of owning and operating my hometown bicycle shop, I was really getting sick of this shit. Thankfully, this channel has given me an opportunity to process my frustrations the best way I know how, by confronting the absurdity of the whole situation with unbridled cynicism masquerading as thinly veiled satire. My bike shop asshole rants have taken on mechanics, the bikes, the cyclists, the industry, and even my customers. But honestly, I really don't even like making those types of videos, but they get the views and I'm only in it for the money. Don't hate me because you can't date me, boyfriends. One surprising side benefit of this whole YouTube experience is the comments. I'm basically crowdsourcing feedback on my professional life. The feedback on my videos is overwhelmingly positive, like, "You're killing it, bro," and "Please, keep it up." But I also see the ones about my shop life, like, "If you hate it so much, why do you keep doing it?" Or, "This is why I quit that life and became a plumber and it was the best decision of my life." And y'all ain't wrong about none of it. So for any of this to make any kind of sense to you, I gotta give you a bit of my backstory. My bicycle journey began when I started hanging around the bicycle clinic in my hometown of Lake Mills in 1990 when I was just 13 years old. God help me, all I wanted was to learn how to fix bikes. And lucky for me, those guys showed me the basics. This set the stage for me to get a college job at Budget Bicycle Center in Madison, Wisconsin in 1996, where I worked for the next 6 years or so, mostly reconditioning trade-ins to be sold as used inventory and doing no-charge tune-ups, which was a free 200-mile checkup service offered with all bicycle purchases from the shop. It was a high-volume shop, so I got really good at fixing bikes from this era, which basically fulfilled my childhood dream. So yay me. But as we all know, the bike shop job wasn't enough to pay the bills. So I cut my hair and spent the next 10 to 15 years trying to find myself with real jobs as a high-powered semiconductor diode laser technician and a high-purity toxic chemical salesman. And since I always liked fixing them more than riding them, from about 2004 to 2014, I never so much as looked at a bicycle. Which in Trek world, this 10-year stretch translates to late-stage Lance to early onset Nika. Simply put, a lot had changed in the bike world during that time. I first became aware of the sea change in cycling technology when I went back full-time at the shop in the summer of 2014. 11-speed was just coming out, which meant we had another new free hub size to deal with. And Shimano 10-speed road groups were super finicky with 2 cable routings coming out of the shifters. And disc brakes were starting to show up on everything, but you could tweak the position of the rotors simply by adjusting your quick-release skewers. Through axles were being developed to address this problem, but you needed a new frame and wheels for that. And 700C by 2.0 Shimano tires were now called 29ers, and the old French 650B rim size was coming back with knobby wide tires, and the mountain bikers thought they should call those 27.5-inch wheels. Those wheels were just a smidge bigger than the typical 26-inch mountain bike standard, but way faster apparently. Shimano was developing electronic shifting, where your seat post would house a battery and wires would run all over the place inside your frame. And a lot of bike manufacturers were now putting electric motors in the bottom brackets powered by batteries on a rear rack and calling them e-bikes. Thankfully, most of the basic hybrids and family bikes still had 3x drivetrains and rim brakes, but that was all about to change too. Needless to say, I cherry-picked the older, easy bikes from the hooks and let the lifers handle the new bullshit jobs. And speaking of bullshit jobs, I was looking very hard for one of those, but nobody would hire me, including the perfect little Trek dealer in the next town over that needed someone to run their service department. They passed me up for a younger, skinnier, sexier cyclist type. This triggered an existential professional crisis that sent me to a life coach who uncovered the greatest idea of my life, the Bikemobile. A mobile bicycle service van that would bring the bike shop to you. Stop the schlep. It was curbside before it was cool. So in the spring of 2016, with a small friends and family loan, I bought a used Sprinter and a set of tools, and within 6 weeks I was swiping my first card and my life had changed forever. I'll never forget one of my first appointments. A cyclist widow scheduled an appointment for me to come service her fleet in a nicer part of town. She had about 8 bikes between her and her late husband. They were all very nice, top-of-the-line bikes, about 5 to 10 years old. First up was her carbon road bike, with about 2 inches of seat post showing and a bag and a light in the way. I loosened up the post clamp and twisted the saddle and you'd think I had just thrown her baby off a bridge. She completely lost her shit. Apparently, she had just spent $350 on a bike fitting to fix some knee pain and had convinced herself that her ability to ride a bike pain-free came down to millimeters. I showed her where dust had collected on the post, which showed me exactly where to put it back, but it just wasn't enough. She insisted on watching my every move and had specific requests for all of her replacement parts like Ultegra chains, XT cassettes, cool stop pads, etc. Right then I learned a valuable lesson. If I was going to be successful at this, I must avoid cyclists at all costs. So I stocked the van with the basics and started advertising in coupon magazines. Regular people with bikes in their garages who feel alienated and abused by the bike racer snobbery of the cycling stores came out in droves. At the end of my first season, I had tuned up 285 bicycles in my van, and in an act of divine providence, the property that once housed Gibbs Bike Shop in Lake Mills from 1933 until about 1990 came back up on the market. I had an offer in the next day. 4 months later, after 25 years of telling myself I could never make a living with a bike shop 10 miles south of Trek headquarters, I reopened Gibbs Bike Shop and became the local bicycle guy in my hometown, fulfilling my childhood dreams 2 weeks before my 40th birthday. That first season with Gibbs went surprisingly well. I was able to find great help right out of the gate. It was just me and Alec feeling our way through the weeds, and at the end of the season, we flew out to Vegas to the Interbike Trade Show. As we walked through the doors of the Sands Convention Center, we both had the same thought. Who the hell buys this shit? It was total insanity. Umpteen different brands selling all of the same line of bikes, 3 different types of hybrids, 4 different types of road bikes, 6 different types of mountain bikes, none of them at a price point that our customer at Gibbs would even begin to think about paying. Back home, all we would hear, day in and day out, was, I'm not a big biker, I don't race, I don't need anything fancy like disc brakes or carbon fiber, and that was immediately followed by, how much does this bike weigh? We walked around for 2 days looking for a brand to carry without any luck. There was nothing there that my customers would want. Eventually, I found the local Giant rep, and thankfully, they're still making the Cypress and selling it at a decent price point. And then, a couple years later, in 2020, we had the pandemic. And in 4 months, I made enough money to become debt-free and buy a newer van with cash. As the bubble burst in 2022, stuck in the same whiplash economy as the other shops, I've mostly spent the last couple years barely eking out a basic living and just trying to keep up. Thankfully, I saw it coming, and after meeting Jerry Rosa, a guitar luthier I found on YouTube, I started making videos myself, and the Bike Farmer was born. About a year after that, I monetized the channel, and now a year later, with 50,000 subs and counting, I've officially shut down the Bikemobile, but I've still got Gibbs. And I think I'm just afraid to admit it because I'm so grateful for the life I have, but I really don't like having a bike shop anymore. It's mostly because fixing bikes for customers has stopped being fun. Modern bikes are expensive, technical, difficult, and frustrating to work on. There's very little satisfaction for me in getting it all to work when the problem solving is mostly with sourcing the right parts after researching the compatibility issue. With modern bikes, it's more technical expertise than mechanical aptitude, and I'm just not into it. On the customer side of things, I absolutely love being the local bike guy who can tune up your old bike or find you an affordable replacement. But here in rural, small Lake Town America, I'm faced with both sides of the ignoramus coin. I either get the, why won't you fix my hand-me-down Walmart bike, or what do you mean you can't replace my tubeless race tire the day before my NICA race? I thought this was a bike shop. That's a 1-star review for Andy Q. I think most of my viewers and most of my custies understand that I'm really good at what I'm really good at. And don't get me wrong here, I appreciate that so much. I am tremendously grateful for all of you. It really should be enough. But at the end of the day, you're not the ones leaving 1-star reviews because I'm not able to meet the expectation that the bicycle industry and big box stores have led people to believe is reality. Sure, there are a bunch of bicycle mechanics working in shops all over the world that can solve the modern technical problems that the old-timer curmudgeon bike farmer has aged out of. But there's a reason that only a handful of them have opened up shops of their own. Even if I spent the time and capital to get up to speed on everything, I'd never find the customer base for it to pay off. It's simply not viable. But thanks to all of you, this channel has really taken off in the past couple months, and I really like making these videos, which means I no longer depend solely on the bike business to make a living. The Bike Farmer is not going anywhere. I'm 100% committed to the Bike Farmer brand and will pivot my bike business accordingly. Expect many more bike videos for sure. I've got all winter to build out a website with a merch store, and as long as I can find a guy to keep the shop open, I'll be tuning and selling the Bike Farmer bikes at Gibbs. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to stay out of the comments. Thank you again for the past year, for all of your attention, for clicking in. Thank you for all the super thanks, all the memberships, all the likes, all the comments. Thank you for everything, everything, everything. Who knows what's in store? All I know is I'm just getting started. Thanks for coming along for the ride. For yourself, don't forget to click that notification bell so you and your bikes can stay tuned.